So we're finally back at the UN Global Headquarters in New York, where we started. After close to 24 hours of chasing the sun, from the east coast of the United States to Latin America, to Australia, China, Thailand, South Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and Africa, we've come full circle, and we're nearing the end of this extraordinary UN Global Compact Leaders Summit. But before we close, it's time to announce and celebrate a new cohort of UN Global Compact SDG pioneers. Every year, the UN Global Compact recognizes a small group of business leaders who have shown remarkable commitment towards advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. Their accomplishments show what a critical role individual business people can play in building a healthy, resilient, clean, and sustainable world. Our selection process begins at the national level, where we put out a call for qualified candidates. The search focuses on professionals working in a company that participates in the UN Global Compact. 2022 is our 6th year of presenting the awards. Our judging panel consisted of members of the UN Global Compact Expert Network, previous SDG pioneers, and representatives from academia and UN agencies. The judges looked at how well the nominees embedded the 10 principles of the Global Compact into their work and their company's core strategies. They also judged their efforts to advance the Sustainable Development Goals and their engagement with the UN Global Compact and its local networks around the world. So, without further ado, let's meet this year's SDG pioneers. So congratulations to all 10 of you, the 2022 SDG pioneers. I wish we could have had you all standing here in person, but we've posted profiles of each of you on our website and send you our heartfelt thanks from the UN Global Compact headquarters. Thank you for all you do to drive sustainability in business of a better world. In a few short minutes, we'll be hearing from the Assistant Secretary General Sanda Ojambo, the CEO of the United Nations Global Compact, and the UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed. But before we hear their closing remarks, we want to hear from a few of our government partners who do so much to support our mission. 3 ministers who will talk about their country's commitment to creating a sustainable world. So let's hear from the following. From Egypt, the Minister of International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat. From Italy, the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Marina Sereni. And from Norway, State Secretary for International Development, Bjorg Sankjær.
Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, colleagues and friends, at the outset, I would like to convey the greetings of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and his sincere wishes to you for a constructive discussion to guide the way forward, uniting businesses and governments towards an inclusive recovery. I am honored to participate in this distinguished panel on behalf of President el-Sisi. Egypt considered this a key opportunity for exchanging views on how to further pursue our interests and in reaffirming our unity and solidarity in facing the challenges ahead. Let us make sure that today's gathering will succeed in guiding us towards a better and a fairer world for the most vulnerable, leaving no one behind. This year, we are at a very critical juncture, with an ongoing pandemic and a cascade of evolving shocks given the war in Europe and the unfolding geopolitical tensions. The growing macroeconomic uncertainty, the repercussions on the flow of trade, the increase in food and fuel prices, and the consequent monetary and financial tightening will inevitably hamper investment and exacerbate output losses in emerging markets. There is a need to turn this moment of crisis into a moment of global cooperation and collective decision-making, building strategic foresight that goes beyond immediate gain, but simultaneously reflects the long-term impact of the current global context. Therefore, stepping up collective action around the 3 main priority areas of concern, namely food, energy, and finance, is key to hedge against economic risks. While bearing in mind that our efforts are an important step on the right path, they have to be followed by additional steps to overcome the widening socio-economic gap between the developed and developing states and contribute to curing the problem of financing gaps for development. In this context, it is imperative to strengthen the multilateral dialogue to find solutions and innovative modalities to support countries in these unprecedented times and ensure that years of reforms are not erased. Progress is needed in fulfilling financial commitments to help bridge financing gaps as needed. Ladies and gentlemen, as a founding member of the United Nations, Egypt has supported the adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and was at the forefront in terms of developing a long-term strategic plan. This is based on national priorities and principles, with the aim of accelerating a comprehensive and sustainable development. Reflecting the government's commitment to green, inclusive, and resilient recovery, Egypt has undertaken a series of macroeconomic and legislative reforms to improve the investment climate and support private sector's role as a pivotal partner in various development processes. As a result, real GDP growth has increased and drivers of growth have recently started to shift towards investments and net exports. Moreover, the government is currently working on an integrated vision to enhance the role of the private sector in the Egyptian economy. The National Climate Change Strategy 2050 and the National Water Resource Management Plan for 2037 are 2 recent examples of how Egypt is sparing no effort to provide a greater role for the private sector in development and specifically towards the green transition. Another example is Egypt's issuance of the first green bond, encouraging the banks and private sector companies to follow suit. In this prospect, and to further localize the SDG agenda, the government of Egypt embraces the role that the private sector brings to the table, requiring coordinated action and a commitment to the environment, social, and governance principles, ESG. Furthermore, Egypt's sustainable development trajectory highlights a positive investment climate and has major opportunities for international financial institutions and multilateral development banks across the country and across sectors. In 2021, the government launched a development partnership finance framework with several development partners aimed at fostering inclusive growth and enhancing private sector's engagement in development efforts through supporting digital and financial inclusion, enhancing trade facilitation, customs-related processes in order to move and boost inclusion, women empowerment, competitiveness, and private sector engagement. With ongoing efforts to push forward the Sustainable Development Goals, the government of Egypt is currently finalizing our strategic cooperation framework with the UN, namely the UN SDCF, which extends between 2023 and 2027 and aims to support the government of Egypt's priorities in achieving economic, social development in line with Vision 2030 and the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, taking into consideration the necessity to build on the achievements made during the current strategic framework, the UN PDF. There are 5 pillars that have been identified for the upcoming cooperation framework, namely investment in human capital, inclusive economic development, environmental sustainability, transparency and good governance, as well as empowerment of women. Together with the United Nations Development Programme, we joined efforts to promote SDG impact investing, covering the ESG principles and the alignment of investor capital with the SDGs. The initiative responds to the growing interest from investors and businesses alike in making a positive impact on society beyond pure financial returns. Marking the beginning of a large-scale project aimed at promoting equity and inclusion across rural Egypt, our country has embarked the first phase of the Decent Life Haya Karima initiative, which aims to raise the living standards of the Egyptian population. Taking a participatory approach to development, the Decent Life initiative empowers youth volunteers to participate in various projects and authorities to collaborate with development partners from NGOs and private sector as well. By January 2021, the government has increased the number of targeted villages to more than 4,000, representing 58% of the Egyptian population. Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, colleagues and friends, the current global environment and the various challenges entails that we collectively work together to reinforce this multilateral stakeholders' engagement and to ensure that multilateral development institutions in cooperation with the public sector and private sector can address both traditional challenges as well as untraditional issues that are coming to the forefront due to the current realities. In this respect, as a part of our international engagement, Egypt hosted the 9th session of the Conference of States Parties to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in 2021, which aimed to enhance cooperation among state parties in recovering assets and revenue lost due to acts of corruption. In conclusion, COP27 represents an important step on the way towards implementing climate pledges and turning them into implementation on the ground. Egypt's presidency of COP27 is displaying its clear vision from pledges to implementation, tackling the climate crisis through international partnerships, innovative financing instruments, and developing an international framework for innovative climate finance. It is important to maintain the current momentum and to let the current geopolitical situation not affect the climate pledges. I look forward to welcoming you in Sharm el-Sheikh, the world's green city of peace, at COP27, where we will speak with one voice for all of humanity for a dedicated climate action. Thank you.
Dear friends, dear participants, I am very pleased to participate in this edition of the UNGC Leaders Summit, and I warmly thank you for this opportunity to confirm Italy's commitment and support to the United Nations Global Compact. We highly value all the attempts to strengthen corporations' responsibility toward sustainable development. This is not only an important public policy issue, but also a unique asset for any modern company to strengthen its position and positive reputation within the world markets. As you know, the 2030 Agenda is facing very difficult moments. The Russian aggression against Ukraine is a shattering blow against the 2030 Agenda. We strongly commend the statements on Ukraine by the UN Secretary General. Corporations, small and medium enterprises all over the world should join to collaborate to sustain Ukraine and to find solutions for peace. At the same time, recovery from the pandemic is another great challenge. Countries and private companies have to join their efforts in building back better. The UNGC 10 principles are fully coherent with the Agenda 2030 and move definitely on the same path. I am very pleased to acknowledge that the Global Compact Italia network worked successfully to enhance the Italian company's commitment in following and developing sustainable practices. The complex crisis the world is facing shows that we urgently need new development models, more focused on socio-economic inclusion, centered on collaboration rather than competition, for a better future for all. Prosperity cannot be measured only in terms of GDP growth, but also as valuable livelihood expectations for all. On the other hand, public institutions should promote a direct dialogue with entrepreneurs to listen to their needs and identify effective ways to support them. The Italian government is increasing its budget for international development cooperation, focused on the 5 pillars: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnerships. And we welcome an active participation of the private sector to our international development cooperation policy through the transfer of expertise and technology, research, and innovation. We support the use of innovative financial instruments in some strategic sectors of developing countries, such as agri-food, agro-industry and renewable energy, urban development. Our Bank for International Development Cooperation, Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, can mobilize capital from public and private donors. Its work aims at maximizing the impact of public resources by fostering financial blending fund operations. A specific line of action concerns investment in innovative financial products like green bonds and sustainable development and impact bonds, in order to support specific initiatives with high social environmental impact in developing countries. Dear participants, let me conclude by emphasizing that we all are called to work for the promotion of dignity and human values. The cooperation between the institutional world and private companies is, in this sense, crucial. Moreover, stability and peace are indispensable factors to achieve the 2030 Agenda, its ambitions, and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. My best wishes of full success to the UN Global Compact for its future work and for the best implementation of its commitment.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. As business leaders, you play an important role in reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. We rely on the private sector for innovation and investments. One of the most fundamental Sustainable Development Goals is the goal of zero hunger. Everyone has the right to adequate food. To realize this fundamental human right, we need help and partnership with the private sector. As you know, the world is moving in the wrong direction. The war in Ukraine is exacerbating an already strained global food security situation. Therefore, my government has increased development assistance to food security significantly. And we want to support in a way that generates private sector investments in sustainable agriculture, in fisheries, and in aquaculture. By investing in local value chains and production, we can assist small-scale food producers in providing food for local markets. This also creates business opportunities. Let me also highlight Sustainable Development Goal 14 and Life Below Water. Here too, we need your help. In order to reach SDG 14, we need to effectively protect, sustainably produce, and equitably share prosperity from the ocean, all at the same time. To make this happen, investors, researchers, and regulators must act together. The high-level panel for a sustainable ocean economy, which is co-led by the Prime Minister of Norway and the President of Palau, has put forward recommendations and priority actions based on the latest knowledge. If and when implemented, they will deliver the results we need, but we need the private sector on board. We appreciate the UNGC's readiness to cooperate with the High-Level Ocean Panel. We also appreciate the many initiatives you are taking to couple ocean solutions with other pressing concerns, such as climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic, we hope the worst is over. But the inequities in access to vaccines and other tools to fight the pandemic are looming. In building back better after the pandemic, we need systems that support sharing of technology that increase local production. Here too, businesses are key partners. Wrapping up, let me point out that I see a new mindset emerging in the business community. To many companies, contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals is just as much part of your DNA as increasing value for your owners. More and more, the one is seen as contingent on the other. In some sectors, we also see industries living up to norms that go beyond those set by their governments. I see this as very promising and as a call to action. In this venture, we appreciate UNGC's efforts to make enterprises part of the solution. Thank you.
Welcome back, distinguished guests, delegates, friends, all those who've joined us in this last 24 hours at this incredible 2022 Leaders Summit. Is it just me, or has this been engaging and solution-driven for you as well? Well, I think we all deserve a collective pat on the back and a thunderous round of applause for all of the ground we've covered in the last 24 hours and counting. We started right here at the United Nations Global Compact office in New York, and we've been around the world and back. If I were to start picking out all the highlights of this Leaders Summit and begin thanking all the people who've made such an outsized impression on me with their commitment and passion for the Global Compact mission, I feel we might be here for at least another day. So I'll try and limit myself to just a few observations, not wishing to steal the limelight away from any single event or any single presenter, but certainly just to illustrate what a tremendous success this summit overall has been. It's been truly exciting to drive a global conversation while convening regionally. We were pleased that business leaders in Southeast Asia were able to come together in Bangkok for 5 hours in person to discuss a range of topics pertinent to their region, including putting SMEs in the driving seat for transformational change. Just a few hours ago, we were also able to join in on leaders in Sweden for the opening of the Stockholm Plus 50 to commemorate the 1972 United Nations Conference on Human Environment and to celebrate 50 years of global environmental action. We launched our China strategy at a superbly well-attended plenary session. The Chinese private sector and their commitment to climate action and addressing inequalities will be critical to our success as the Global Compact. So we are pleased that we can and will now be able to drive progress towards them in partnership with China's vibrant private sector. With our partners UNICEF and Save the Children, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Children's Rights and Business Principles, the first comprehensive set of principles to guide companies on the range of actions that they need to take to respect and support children's rights in the workplace, the marketplace, and the community. Because after all, children everywhere should be able to enjoy the same rights and privileges that our own children have. It was truly inspiring to hear directly from stakeholders, including children, how these principles have taken root and made such a valuable contribution to building a world that is fit for all of us. We have heard, engaged with, and learned from a stellar cast of global leaders from all walks of life. Heads of state from Spain and Timor-Leste, government ministers, the heads of international institutions and UN partners, including our four guardians, the International Labour Organization, UN Environment Programme, the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, and the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, and some of the most innovative business leaders from the private sector. Thank you to all of our UN Global Compact business participants for your continued membership and engagement. And of course, we welcome those of you who've been inspired to now join the more than 16,000 companies who have signed up to uphold our 10 principles. We kicked off yesterday with a reflection on the state of the world and the imperative for business and business leaders. We acknowledge that immense challenges exist for business and other stakeholders, but that business could seize these challenges and opportunities, bring their innovation, technologies, markets, financing, partnerships, and networks to bear. We heard the need to consider new partnership models and catalytic leveraging of financing and investments to achieve the SDGs. Now, if we could channel the energy, the solutions, and the calls to action that we've heard during this summit, we will be on a trajectory towards addressing these challenges, upholding our 10 principles for business, and contributing to the SDGs with renewed focus. With the challenges ahead of us, there really can be no limits to positive and transformative roles that the private sector can take in leading the way to a fair, sustainable, and equitable future. My thanks to the over 12,000 of you who registered to join us for making this such a successful summit. I look forward to seeing many of you in person before we meet again to chase the sun around the world next year. And now, without further ado, I'd like to hand over to the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, to formally close this year's UN Global Compact Leaders Summit. DSG, with my gratitude for your leadership and support, over to you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy to join you in closing the 2022 United Nations Global Compact Leaders Summit. We meet as the effects of the war in Ukraine are inflaming a three-dimensional crisis across food, energy, and finance, at a time when developing countries are already struggling with a cascade of challenges from the COVID-19 pandemic to the triple planetary crisis. As you have shown in rich discussions over the past few days, the Sustainable Development Goals are our North Star to overcome these multiple challenges. Together with the 10 principles of the Global Compact, they represent a common framework for your company's sustainability journey, as well as concrete opportunities for investments in key and increasingly urgent transitions: renewable energies, food systems, transformation, digital connectivity, and inclusion. With less than 8 years to 2030, we must turbocharge investments and business plans to rescue the Sustainable Development Goals. I am pleased to see the Global Compact's Africa strategy taking off with the launch of a new Africa hub in Abuja. And I welcome the newly formed African Business Leaders Coalition, which will provide a Pan-African voice for the private sector as we approach COP27 in Egypt. Today, we wrap up the Leaders Summit, inspired to enhance and scale partnerships that provide a pathway for a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient recovery. This essential dialogue will continue with the academic community. Tomorrow's Prime Global Forum marks 15 years of the Principles of Responsible Management Education Initiative, engaging leading schools around the world. We must develop future leaders with a sustainability mindset capable of addressing our most pressing global challenges and delivering for people and planet. Dear friends, colleagues, seeing this kind of commitment among global business leaders, governments, and civil society gives me hope that the Sustainable Development Goals remain within reach. But one thing is clear: we can only achieve them through collective action. I look forward to seeing today's commitments transformed into concrete actions. I am confident that you will lead the global movement for sustainability that is so urgently needed, and together help build a prosperous and durable world. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary General, for your inspiring remarks. Well, that's it. We hope you've enjoyed spending time with us at the 2022 UN Global Compact Leaders Summit. Thank you for your engagement. Remember, you can continue to follow the conversation on social media using the hashtag Leaders Summit. Video highlights of all our sessions will be posted on our YouTube channel very soon. The UN Global Compact is committed to mainstreaming SDG action, and we're ready to support through our local networks in 69 countries. We encourage you to learn more about all our programs and initiatives, including our latest Africa, China, and SME strategies. We invite you to join our social media campaign, It's Good for Business, by sharing your photo and message with your followers. You can find that at unitingbusiness.zone. More than 9,000 of you have already done it, and there's a special prize for the person who takes the campaign into 5 figures. We also hope you'll join us again for Uniting Business Live, our flagship annual event as part of the annual high-level UN General Assembly Week starting on the 19th of September. And finally, to celebrate the last remaining minutes of this Leaders Summit, we welcome an inspiring young artist who's launched the Battery Tour, a concert tour powered by renewable energy. In addition to being appointed as a young leader for the SDGs, he's developed Project 17, an album about the SDGs. With a final thanks to you, our audience, for joining us, let me now hand over to A.Y. Young to play us out.
And this is a special performance of the anthem of regeneration. Blessed to be working with Paul Hawkins, shout out to him. The anthem of regeneration and Save the Planet, the sustainability anthem of the world, my original songs. We can change the world and save the planet live right here for you guys. Let's launch, guys.
See, I don't like it anymore than you do. But in their ignorance, that bliss is a fraud. So it's about time, be humble and realize that we are one and the same, unique and one of a kind. Cause brighter days come ahead when we join together. Push your best foot forward, go and make an effort. This is AY, I spoke to Akon, Marvin Gaye, we in the grapevine. Let's have a great time. Influence great minds, I'm trying to paint my version of Picasso. This is colossal, so they always take the right away. This is Save the Planet, the sustainability anthem of the world. Welcome, guys, to my song. Save the planet, we gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Woo! Save the planet, we gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Woo! Save the planet, we gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Save the planet, let's do it, guys. For sustainability. They acting like we from another planet, Mars. They say climate change ain't a thing. What you talking about? What you know about that? What's your carbon offset? Facts, we just wanna act. We ain't sitting back. Solar power, wind and solar power. Everybody need the energy. Let's store it up and power the world. Recycle. We need more recycle, but y'all acting like some followers on Instagram and Twitter, yeah. Tick tock, don't let the ball drop. The clock starts now, plug in, we gon' save the planet. Tick tock, don't let the ball drop. The clock starts now, plug in, we gon' save the planet. Tick tock, yeah. It's time to come together. Hey, to save the planet, guys. Join together. Hey, save the planet. We gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Save the planet. We gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Yeah. Save the planet. We gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Yeah. Save the planet. We gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Yeah. Save the planet. Yeah. We gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Yeah. Save the planet. We gon' save the planet. Yeah. Don't forget about the ocean, guys. The ocean is alive. Keep the plastic out. 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 Yeah, save the planet. We gon' save the planet. Everybody looking at me like I'm from another planet. Yeah. Hey, thank you.